as it opens.
Where your heart is the sun and it shines as it opens.
Yeah, your heart is the sun and it shines as it opens.
Where your heart is the sun and it shines as it opens.
Yeah, your bones are the earth and they sing with the mountains.
Where your bones are the earth and they sing with the mountains.
Yeah, your bones are the earth and they sing with the mountains.
Where your bones are the earth and they sing with the mountains.
Why would you look outside yourself when you have all of the world
Why
inside?
would you look outside yourself when you have all of the world
Say, why
inside?
would you look outside yourself when you have all of the world
Why would
inside?
you look outside yourself when you have all of the world
Your
inside?
mind is a space that creates your horizon.
Well, your mind is a space that creates the horizon.
Your mind is a space that creates your horizon.
Well, your mind is a space that creates your horizon.
Say, why would you look outside yourself when you have all of the world
Why
inside?
would you look outside yourself when you have all of the world
Why
inside?
would you look outside yourself when you have all of the world
Why would
inside?
you look outside yourself when you have all of the world inside?
You know, you can feel it when you look inside. You know, you can feel it. It's no surprise. Say, why would you look outside yourself when you have all of the world
Why
inside?
would you look outside yourself when you have all of the world
Say, why would you look outside yourself when you have all of the world inside?
Dear colleagues, dear friends, welcome and thank you so much for devoting the time to attend our opening session here. We hope that we have prepared an interesting program for all of you. Welcome to the Learning from the Extremes Eden Open Classroom Conference. So I will devote only a few minutes to introduce the semantics and the context of the organization of this conference. Our cooperation with Eden is starting for many years, more than 25 years now. But from 2011 on, we have initiated together the plan to organize a number of conferences focusing on schools and highlighting really some important developments. So back in 2011, it was the start of the financial crisis, so we had a provocative title at that time, Never Waste a Crisis. I don't know if we waste the crisis or no, but it's an issue to discuss about 12 years later. Then at a major moment, during the implementation of a major initiative, the Open Discovery Space, supported from the European Union, an effort to develop a digital portal full of educational resources for teachers. Then at the beginning of Open Schooling, a major project that we have run with the cooperation of the Institute of Educational Policy, and it was implemented in numerous Greek schools. Later, focusing on deeper learning in STEM, discussing the new challenges and perspectives of open distance education, and let's say closing this series of developments during the crisis, if we can, let's say, see a real change during all these years. It was discussed back in 2021. There was a small break for organizational reasons. For Eden. The title this time is Learning from the Extremes. And this is also the title of a major initiative, again supported from the European Union, focusing this time on rural schools. So schools that are working at extreme environments, teachers who are facing significant difficulties, what we can learn from them. So for the first time, the European Union has financed a significant amount was devoted to the technical infrastructure. We have equipped a number of schools around Europe with infrastructure in order to perform more advanced applications, and we have followed their progress for a long time. So the first time that this title, Learning from the Extremes, was about 15 years ago when a report from Cisco was published presenting, let's say, what we can learn from these rural settings. And we believe that we have many things to learn from them. This was also the idea of the report. At that time, they have organized, let's say, their scenarios, their foresights about these developments on formal education, informal education, and different forms of innovation. So on the first part, let's say, up left, we can see how we can improve, let's say, the schools, or how we can reinvent the schools when we are entering to more, I would say, in a more aggressive way when we are implementing innovation in school settings. But especially in rural environments, the informal learning component plays a very important role because the rural school is very well recognized from the local community. The local community is sharing the responsibility for students' learning. And in this environment, we can see this cooperation and the outcomes of this cooperation. So we have two more forms of development to supplement the educational system or even transform it. But how these are, let's say, related to what we have learned, what we can learn from this. The fact is that 2 years ago, OECD has revisited their future schooling scenarios. And they have presented 4 different categories on how they expect how the school is going to be developed in the future. And there is a significant reference to this work, to the work that is coming from the rural settings. And if you see the different scenarios, the extended school, the education that is being outsourced, the school as learning hubs, and learning as you go, they have very big similarities with the different forms of development for the rural schools that was presented many, many years ago. So our aim is to demonstrate how we can empower people, how we can help them by providing technology and, of course, support to develop their schools and offer better learning outcomes for their students. Maybe they are working in India. There is a pioneer project, the Hole in the Wall, from Mitra, who decided to install some infrastructure in rural Indian villages and let them there without any support and see what is going to happen. In Digital Colombia, in other locations where other pioneering projects like the one laptop per child was implemented. But also in Europe, in Greece, in different locations, in Finland, and in many other countries that were involved in the Learning from the Extremes project, we have seen that we have really, if we empower the people, we have really we can really see great results. So this is the context of our conference. We had more than 40. We have prepared more than 40 presentations. We have 5 keynotes who are going to present their views and visions about the significant contribution of technology in education. And of course, numerous posters that are coming from rural schools across Europe who have, let's say, who have been involved in the Learning from the Extremes project, and they are presenting their work here. So, taking this opportunity, I would like to invite the president of Institute of Educational Policy. The Institute of Educational Policy has supported us for many years, and I think the new president, if I can say that, is bringing also fresh air and numerous new ideas in the institution. So, Professor Doukakis, you have the floor to address the conference and open the conference officially. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, thank you for attending the conference. Thank you that you're here either in person or online. We are especially pleased to welcome many of you who have traveled from abroad to join us. Our gratitude goes to our hosts for providing an excellent place, an excellent venue to work for the conference, and we're delighted by the cooperative relationships we have cultivated all these years. This collaboration opens opportunities for our institute to engage in significant projects from which valuable practices emerge capable of influencing policies. I would like to extend a warm appreciation to our keynote speakers. I would like to express my gratitude to Eleni Magina, who honored us with her presence today. I sincerely thank her for long-standing collaboration, support, and her contribution to the field of education and beyond. Additionally, I would like to acknowledge Kostas Solakidis, whom I had the honor of having one of the 3-member committee during my PhD candidacy. My warm thanks also to him for his unique contributions to my professional development. Special thanks also to Vasilis, who met this summer, maybe 3 months ago. We have a pleasure of meeting in Crete. We appreciate his outstanding work in astrophysics, inspiring students in his excellent way. The role of the European Digital Education Hub and Sandra is significant also, and we sincerely thank her for the numerous actions that have taken place in our country due to their efforts. Dr. Sotiriou, Agapete Sophokli, thank you for your cooperation. I need not say more about this. And last, let me express my gratitude to the Institute team for their outstanding efforts, particularly to Mrs. Holidis, Dr. Holidis, who will deliver her keynote speech today. Thanks also to everyone who contributed to the success of this event and identified it in new areas of cooperation. Now, let's delve into learning from the extremes. I had the pleasure of being at one of these extraordinary locations, visiting a school during a recent trip to Peloponnese, an excellent region for summer holidays for those visiting Greece. Not forgetting, of course, Corfu, which is my hometown, of course. However, I must give due credit to the Peloponnese, since my wife hails from Ilia. So what did I observe there? Transformative opportunities and practices that have turned schools into vibrant centers, generating brilliant ideas and proposals, extending well beyond the classroom walls. I envision similar transformation in the other schools across the 10 European countries participating in this project. I'm not here to affirm that schools merely innovated. I'm here to reiterate that teachers work a unique project, a project marked by dedication and commitment to fortify their schools' units, transforming them into beacons of inspiration for students, parents, and community society. These educators have not only incorporated innovation to the educational process, enhancing their learning experience for their students, but have also made meaningful contributions to their local communities. Today, we have the exclusive opportunity to follow and learn from these pioneering educators, drawing inspiration from their successes and gaining insights for their work. The conference acts as a bridge connecting us to the digital policies of the participating countries, and understanding their policies is vital as we collectively explore actions aimed at achieving our educational goals. In closing, I encourage you to reflect. The tools and practices that will be presented during the conference are not only about innovation, but also about systemic change. In this context, I call upon the educational community of Greece, whether within the country or abroad, to contribute to this joint effort for a better future for our children. Yesterday, and let me speak in Greek, το Ινστιτούτο ανακοίνωσε τη δράση μαζί για την εκπαίδευση, το οποίο προσπαθούμε να δημιουργήσουμε ένα ανοιχτό μητρό εκπαιδευτικών που τους καλούμε να συμβάλλουν στις δράσεις του Ινστιτούτου. Μέσα σε μια μέρα, χτες το μεσημέρι το ανοίξαμε, έχουν εγγραφεί ήδη 170 εκπαιδευτικοί, το οποίο είναι σημαντικό για μας. Και είναι σημαντικό για μας και ως δράση, αλλά και ως ουσία, διότι το Ινστιτούτο δεν έχει άπειρα άτομα. Έχει 60 εκπαιδευτικούς, που είναι επιστημονικό προσωπικό, και 60 διοικητικούς, που και αυτοί προέρχονται από το εκπαιδευτικό προσωπικό της χώρας. Άρα είναι κάποιοι από τους εκπαιδευτικούς της χώρας. Και τρέχουμε περίπου 27 δράσεις, 27 project με budget που περνάει τα 100 εκατομμύρια. Οπότε καταλαβαίνετε ότι η συνεισφορά σας σε αυτό το εγχείρημα είναι πολύ σημαντική και σας έχουμε όλους ανάγκη για να μπορέσουμε να κάνουμε επιπλέον πράγματα μες στο φορέα. So, thank you all of you very much for being here. We continue our transformative journey and look forward to creating educational environments that not only empower our students, but also shape the futures of our societies. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Doukakis. I think that in order to achieve all this, to create this transformative culture, it's important to have the support of the national educational authorities, but at the same time, the support from European Union is very important. And speaking from, let's say, from my experience from the implementation of the specific project, I have to say that very few projects are receiving such support like the one that we have received from the project officer, Asya Sattler, project officer, Directorate General for Communication Networks, Content and Technology from Luxembourg. She is connected with us virtually. to address the conference. We have worked with Asia as, let's say, project team and project officer, but I believe at the end we were all on the same side to deliver the best outcome. So, one moment, Asia, to open the. Okay, now you have the floor.
Thank you. Just a second, I will share the screen. And
thank you very much. Thank you for
thank you very much. Thank you for also this opportunity to also welcome you to the final conference of the project Learning from the Extreme, and to say a few words about the work of the European Commission and especially my DG Connect in the field of digital education. In the field of digital education and skills, there are two main policy communications which are really relevant for our work. One is the Digital Education Action Plan, and the other one is the Digital Decade Policy Program. The Digital Education Plan is actually a call for action for a stronger cooperation at European level to learn from the COVID-19 crisis and to make education and training system fit for the digital age. One of the programs of the Digital Decade Action Plan was also to publish two council recommendations, one on digital education and one on digital skills. And with this recommendation, the Commission is calling on member states to ensure universal access to inclusive and high-quality digital education and training. The Digital Decade Policy Program is more to enable the digital transformation of the European economy. Here the Commission set very ambitious targets to be reached by 2030, and one of the targets is to equip the adults in Europe with basic digital skills by 2030. So at the moment, there is a lot of funding available for digital education and skills. Following the COVID crisis, we have the Recovery and Resilience Facility instrument, and around 23 billion euro will be dedicated to investment in digital education and for boosting the digital skills in different member states. There are also a lot of other funding opportunities. If I just can take Horizon Europe, which is funding excellent research. Here in this field, we were funding a lot of research and innovation projects, which developed different tools for digital learning and training. We also were funding like a project for mentoring schemes for schools to share knowledge and best practice how to best learn with digital skills in tools in schools. But as I said, there are many more funding opportunities in Europe and at the member states level. But what is common for all these funding opportunities is that we want to ensure that no one is left behind, so that all students and schools are reached with our funding. And also the main goal of this project, Learning from Extreme, was to enable digital education in also remote areas in Europe. As I said, a lot of funding is available, and the Commission is funding also a lot of community building activities. I just want to present here two initiatives we are funding in my unit. This is the EO Code Week, which is the initiative to bring coding and digital literacy to everyone. And the community of Code Week is growing from year to year, and now we are covering already 80 countries. I wanted to mention also the Digital Skills and Jobs platform, which is a platform where you can find different information regarding the digital skills available in Europe. But as I said, there are many more opportunities for community building, like e-twinning or the digital education hub in Europe. I would really like to thank you, the consortium's members of the Learning from the Extremes, for all their excellent work in the last 2 years. I was very happy to be the project officer of this project, to be able to follow the progress of the project, their work and their engagement with the piloting schools in the remote areas. I wish you a very constructive, informative, and also a pleasant conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was a really great pleasure working in the framework of this project. Of course, significant work is still there, but I trust that we will be able to deliver at very high quality. Referring to the support that is there from the national educational authorities, we have also to highlight the significant role of the local educational authority. I have to say that I was really surprised. It was the first time I'm working in this school 25 years, and it was the first time that this summer we had, let's say, the visit of the director of East Attica Directorate for Education to discuss how we can work together, and it was a unique moment for us, a very important recognition for our work. So thank you so much for this. And I would like to ask Dr. Andreas Marinos, Director of, sorry for that, Director of East Attica Directorate for Education, to address the conference.
Πάντα θα λέω ότι οι πρωτοβουλίες οι οποίες γίνονται και οι οποίες οδηγούν ένα βήμα μπροστά, πρωτοβουλίες οι οποίες πραγματικά φέρνουν χαρά, φέρνουν μια αισιοδοξία γενικότερα στον κόσμο, κάνουν τους ανθρώπους πραγματικά να αισθάνονται πολύ πιο ωραία με τον εαυτό τους, οι οποίες δημιουργούν μια άμυλα, γιατί η άμυλα είναι κάτι πολύ σημαντικό για την ψυχολογία των ανθρώπων. Αυτά είναι πάντα θετικά. Συγχαίρω λοιπόν άλλη μια φορά την Ελληνογερμανική Σχολή, όλους εσάς οι οποίοι πραγματικά προσφέρετε, και θέλω, γιατί η καινοτομία δεν είναι κάτι το οποίο κάποιος ξυπνάει σήμερα το πρωί, κάποιος ο οποίος και λέει ξέρεις κάτι, κάνω μια καινοτομία. Είναι ένας, όπως έλεγε ο Παστέρ, είναι ένας να μπορέσουμε να φτιάξουμε εμείς ανθρώπους οι οποίοι θα μπορέσουν να κάνουν ένα βήμα περισσότερο. Από παλιά και από τις προηγούμενες θέσεις προσπαθούσα και τους μαθητές μου, τους φοιτητές μου, να μπορέσουν να τους πω να κάνουν κάτι καινούριο, να μπορέσουν να δημιουργήσουν. Πρέπει να δώσεις εκεί πέρα την όθηση σε αυτούς τους ανθρώπους να κάνουν κάτι καινούριο. Θέλω να πω ότι θα πρέπει λοιπόν να δημιουργηθούν κάποια ελπίζω ο κύριος Δουκάκης να κάνει κάτι τέτοιο, δηλαδή στο Λύκειο υπάρχει ένα πρόγραμμα το οποίο είναι αρκετά συμπιεσμένο. Δεν υπάρχουν αυτή η εξωστρέφεια η οποία πρέπει. Ένα μάθημα το οποίο υπήρχε το project καταργήθηκε. Θα ήταν καλό λοιπόν να υπάρχουν μαθήματα τα οποία θα συγκεντρώνονται όλα αυτά τα μυαλά, όλες αυτές οι σκέψεις. Όχι επειδή ο καθηγητής πρέπει να έχει ώρες να κάνει, όχι επειδή του περισσεύουν ώρες, αλλά κάποιοι οι οποίοι έχουν το όραμα να πάνε ένα βήμα μπροστά, όλες αυτές οι ιδέες να συγκεντρώνονται, να αξιολογούνται και να μεταδίδονται σε όλη την Ελλάδα, αν είναι δυνατόν και σε όλο τον κόσμο. Τα μυαλά τα οποία υπάρχουν είναι πάρα πολλά. Στο δικό μου σχολείο στη Ρόδο και στο ΚΑΤΣΑΤ είχαν πάρει το πρώτο βραβείο, που ήταν ένα δημόσιο σχολείο. Και πρώτοι είχαν βγάλει 3D μάσκες και πολλά άλλα είχαν κάνει και εικονικά μουσεία και πολλά. Αυτές οι σκέψεις όμως τα παιδιά προχώρησαν. Αυτά όμως δεν μεταδόθηκε το όραμα. Αυτό το οποίο γίνεται αυτή τη στιγμή στην Ελληνογερμανική είναι πολύ σημαντικό. Γιατί με το κύρος το οποίο έχει, αλλά και με την δυναμικότητα που έχει, μπορεί να πάρει ένα βήμα. Αλλά αυτό θα πρέπει να γίνει με ένα κεντρικό σχεδιασμό, ώστε να μπορούν να γίνουν πολύ περισσότερα πράγματα. Άπτομαι της ευκαιρίας να είναι μαζί μας, επαναλαμβάνω, ο κύριος Δουκάκης, ο οποίος το γνωρίζω χρόνια, είναι αξιολογότατος με ένα πολύ ανοιχτό μυαλό και θεωρώ ότι γενικότερα είναι πολύ σημαντικό να δοθεί ένας τέτοιος αέρας μπροστά στην εκπαίδευση. Τα κοινωνικά αποτελέσματα της ευρεσιτεχνίας είναι πολύ σημαντικά. Βελτιώνεται η ποιότητα των ανθρώπων, η ποιότητα της ζωής, η ευημερία, εξαλείπτονται οι ανισότητες. Μπορεί ο καθένας να έχει πρόσβαση στο να μπορέσει να γίνει καλύτερος, αλλά και να κερδίσει χρήματα. Γιατί η καινοτομία είναι ένα μέρος της εφεύρεσης. Η καινοτομία σημαίνει ότι υπάρχει αξιοποίηση και οικονομική. Κάτι το οποίο πολλές φορές μέσα στη συνείδηση των ανθρώπων και στην ελληνική πραγματικότητα είναι καταδικαστέα. Αλλά αυτό είναι ένα βήμα. Πρέπει να προχωρήσει αυτό το πράγμα. Μπορεί να αυξήσει την απασχολησιμότητα σε πάρα πολύ σημαντικό σημείο. Μπορεί να αυξήσει τον ΑΕΠ. Μπορεί να βελτιώσει την ποιότητα της ζωής. Μπορεί να μειώσει τις ανισότητες. Μπορεί να προστατεύσει το περιβάλλον. Τώρα, γιατί όλα τα παιδιά χαίρονται όταν καινοτομούν? Γιατί ουσιαστικά μπορούν ήδη να επιλύσουν προβλήματα. Το πρόβλημα τίθεται και το λύνουν. Γιατί συνεισφέρουν στους συνανθρώπους τους. Γιατί ήδη μπορούν να αναπτυχθούν. Πολλοί από αυτούς που σας είχα πει προηγουμένως, τα παιδιά αυτά, που είναι 19-20 χρόνων τώρα, είναι σε εταιρείες startup, εδώ στην Αθήνα. Φοιτητές. Και το βασικότερο απ' όλα, γίνονται δημιουργικά και οδηγούνται στην αυτοπραγμάτωση. Άλλη μια φορά συγχαρητήρια για αυτές τις πρωτοβουλίες. Σας ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ. Να είστε πάντα καλά. Εμείς από τη διεύθυνση, τη Διαθροβάθμια, είναι εδώ και οι συνεργάτες μου και η κυρία Μενούνιου και η Σταυρούλα και ο κύριος Κατέρης, έχουμε ήδη δρομολογήσει. Από την επόμενη εβδομάδα θα υπάρχει αυτό το πράγμα. Στημένο ένα σερβερ, όλα τα σχολεία της περιοχής θα βάζουν μέσα την ιδέα τους, φτιάχνουμε μια ομάδα από συμβούλους οι οποίοι θα αξιολογούν και όλα αυτά θα πηγαίνουν σε όλη την Ανατολική Αττική. Ευχαριστώ.
Thank you so much. I would like to call now Maria de Conceição Castro, representing the Ministry of Education in Portugal, from the General Directorate for Education, Educational Resources and Technologies, and long-lasting cooperator in our work. And Maria, you have the floor to address the conference.
Esteemed, I'm a little bit nervous, I confess, because after Sophocles' so kind invitation to participate in this conference, I felt that I wouldn't be much prepared to do this, but let us try. At the same time, I bring you the warmest salutations from Portugal and from the Portuguese General Directorate for Education. we are trying very hard at the General Directorate to be in touch and to be up to date with the trends that are set in the documents referred by the PO of the project Learning from the Extremes. As partners of Learning from the Extremes, we have followed very attentively and we have participated very, very much and with a lot of happiness in all the initiatives that were carried out and led to this moment, which is a celebration moment, when we see that all the goals and all the things that were established, all the milestones were actually accomplished. One of the things we are going to do briefly in Portugal, and it's something that we are very happy to share with you right now, is that we purchased drones to offer the LFE schools. So the kids from the LFE schools that participated in this project are going to receive a drone, and they are going to be able to, with its help, look at their school from a higher perspective. It will be kind of a bird's-eye view, and out of that, they will be able to speak about sustainability, speak about how important it is, their school, because although it is a rural school, it is also a place where they learn. And as we know, a school is always something that touches our heart, and we always remember in our lives with a lot of happiness our school days. And so these boys and these girls from the rural schools are going to have the chance of having the drone flying over their school, checking the limits of the school and the limits of the forests and the limits of the small village next to the school, etc. And they will be able to create projects connected with that bird's-eye view perspective that they didn't have before. So we are very happy with that. At the same time, we are developing laboratories for digital education. And sorry, and at this point we have 106 laboratories already in schools. They are accompanied, of course, by kits which are connected with programming and robotics, STEM, arts and multimedia. So basically, these kits are going to help the teachers and the students to go a step ahead and have confidence in getting an approach that is more active in the learning process, where students are able to have hands-on activities and to experience and use PBL to develop their knowledge. So along with these Dell laboratories, we are going to have training sessions. We are going to have people at the school. Each school will have a responsible for the laboratory, so he or she, teacher like us, is going to provide all the information and support needed. And so we understand that without literacy, without digital literacy, it's impossible to use the digital which is available to everybody in a positive way. So providing digital literacy and providing knowledge to our colleagues is extremely important. Again, and I will always remember from this experience some words that Zahi said. We are here for the children. And this expression is very dear to my heart and very dear to all the people that participated in this project up to today. And of course, that we are here for the children. And the children are so important for us that we actually want to take this a step further. And I'm very happy that dear Sophocles is going to try to do that, and we are in support. So thank you very much, Sophocles, for this opportunity, and thank you, esteemed audience, for listening to me.
I would like to call Dr. Theodora Kakouri, representing the Pedagogical Institute of the Ministry of Education in Cyprus. From Portugal, we are moving to the other extreme of European continent.
Καλησπέρα. Θα μιλήσω λίγο στα ελληνικά και θα συνεχίσω στα αγγλικά. Εκπροσωπώ την αναπληρώτρια διευθύντρια του Παιδαγωγικού Ινστιτούτου Κύπρου, η οποία δυστυχώς δεν μπορούσε να παρευρεθεί. Συνεπώς, ό,τι θα ακολουθήσει είναι δικός της χαιρετισμός και είναι στα αγγλικά. Για ό,τι αφορά την Κύπρο και τις δράσεις της στο έργο, θα έχετε την ευκαιρία να τα δείτε αύριο. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct pleasure to speak to you at today's conference, which marks the completion of the Learning from the Extremes pilot projects and preparatory actions program. This project, through the collaboration of various entities, had a significant impact on the digital transformation of education and the consequent development of digital skills in our broader society. Digital education and the transformation of Cyprus' educational system call for the integration of new technologies into teaching and learning. Developing digital skills for educators and students are amongst the highest priorities for the Ministry of Education, Sport and Youth of Cyprus. To achieve the overarching goal, our country's digital strategy focuses on incorporating information technology and digital literacy in educational and learning practice to facilitate the improvement of learning outcomes. Thus, it is imperative to develop digital competence, redesign and enhance the national curriculum, and technologically upgrade school units. In this framework, we promote the transition to a modern and student-centered school based on pedagogical principles in order to develop the abilities and skills of all children, support educators, as well as highlight and utilize good practices to be implemented in schools through collaboration and partnerships. We envision an educational system where digitally literate educators enhance the critical thinking, creativity, and adaptability of their students. They will diversify their teaching and support various forms of authentic learning. We envision a future where educators are not constrained by time and space limits, utilizing online learning environments and adaptability of their students. They will diversify their teaching and support with various forms of authentic learning. To achieve this, the Cyprus Pedagogical Institute expands the training and professional support to educators to further develop their digital skills and the integration of new technologies into teaching and learning. Emphasis is also given to the modernization of national curriculum, aiming at developing 21st century skills for digital and green transition. At that has been mentioned, reaffirms the importance of the participation of the Ministry of Education, Sports and Youth through the Pedagogical Institute of Cyprus in the European project Learning from the Extremes. The project, focusing on improving the digital competence of remote and rural schools, has not only developed a novel research and theoretical framework, but has also enhanced the digital skills of the 5 selected schools in Cyprus using the funds provided by the European Commission. Most importantly, the schools themselves have succeeded in incorporating novel techniques for the promotion of their digital competence based on their respective needs, with a focus on improving technological infrastructure at the student and school level, as well as the training of educators for developing digital skills. Schools have started integrating digital technologies into teaching and learning. Additionally, they have become learning centers in the broader community by opening their doors, collaborating with other public entities, and making their facilities available to their communities. They contribute to the digital transformation and the minimalization of the digital gap that primarily affects our adult and elderly fellow citizens. This multifaceted implementation has multiple benefits, spreading from schools to the broader community, serving as a practical example for further planning. The implementation of the Learning from the Extremes project reveals that collaboration between the state, universities, social and community entities are essential for the promotion of digital transformation in education. In addition, this implementation highlights the multifaceted role of educators and school unit administrators who, by supporting European projects and other initiatives, contribute supportively to the ministry's plan for strengthening and providing equal opportunities in remote and rural communities. On this occasion, I would like to thank the Institute of Educational Policy of Greece, thank you, ευχαριστούμε, and all partners, ευχαριστούμε all, thank you all partners of the Learning from the Extreme project for their valuable help towards the effective implementation of the project. I am confident that the results of the project will substantially contribute to further planning for digital, green, and inclusive education. Enjoy the conference proceedings. Dr. Elena Hachikakou, the Deputy Director of the Cyprus Pedagogical Institute. Thank you. Ευχαριστώ.
So as we are entering now to the keynote talks, we will make a small change because Dr. Eleni Mangina from Ireland, she has, let's say, a trip later today, so we will make a change in the order of the keynotes. Sandra, thank you so much for this offer. So let's be connected with Dr. Mangina. Professor Mangina, we are ready.
Thank you, and I will share my slides now. Can you see my slides?
Yes, everything is
Yes,
fine.
yes, everything is
start.
fine. You can start.
Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Dukakis for inviting me to this conference, and thank you for the introduction. And in my return, I would like to mention that I know Dr. Dukakis since his years of his PhD studies. We had long discussions about our worries, about the development of the technology, and I knew since then that he would be, he was an academic in making and actually a visionary. So thank you, Spiros, and I hope you enjoy the talk today. We're talking here about extremes, and something that really struck my mind is that, are there really extremes? We experienced an extreme with the pandemic, but what we call maybe in our generation an extreme, it's a way of living for the Z generation. So let's have a look within this talk today about the new era of teaching and learning with extended reality. I've been an academic in UCD since 2002, and before that I was 5 years in Scotland for my studies. So I've been 27 years abroad already, and I always welcome this type of invitations from my home country, and I hope you enjoy it. A couple of things about my second home, about Ireland. Ireland is a high-tech country. For those that haven't been in Ireland, we are the Silicon Valley of Europe. We have 9 out of top 10 pharmaceutical companies. We have the top companies for medical devices, and of course the ICT companies, and 250 global financial institutions. That makes us responsible as academics and as teachers to produce graduates for the needs in the country and for the global needs as well. In terms of teaching and in terms of our calling as teachers, I would say we're not only serving the children, we're serving humanity, because as our colleague from Cyprus mentioned, it's a long life learning. And I was actually very happy to host the adult DigiLab project from Cyprus in Dublin and discuss with the Ministry of Education in Cyprus and the representatives here about how it's not an extreme anymore. We're learning. As long as we live, we're learning. I'm still learning. And this is our campus. It's green. Those that don't know Ireland, we call Ireland the island of the Emerald Island in Europe. Now, back to our main issue to discuss today about extremes. First of all, I thought this Irish Times article from 2020 represents very well about the extreme that we recently lived and what we learned. What we learned from the pandemic. We've learned that the school is not just a physical building. We've learned that the relational and socio-emotional dynamics comprise this fabric of schooling. We've learned that collaboration is important, performativity and constructivism and being live in the classroom has the higher status in the process. We've learned about the technological affordances and the digital divide within rural areas and within different schools. We've learned that it can be problematic because there is a generation gap in terms of the technology between the students and the teachers. We've learned daily interactions are very important. We've learned that learning should be fun. We've learned that it is inequitable to make assumptions that people from home have accessibility to the technology. And we've learned that technology enables, but also excludes some learners. A couple of things about my research group. I've been working in the area actively with funding from national, international, and EU projects since 2012. And I think Dr. Sotiriou mentioned earlier about the crisis that we lived all there. But maybe that's a discussion for, to be politically correct, for another day in another panel, about how Ireland recovered and the investment we made to education. So from 2012, I've been investigating in different settings how we can enhance the learning process for everybody at all levels of education. And I have a number of projects in my portfolio, and I will mention those that are highly relevant with learning from the extremes. 2016, it's all started when actually one of the projects was ADHD augmented. I wanted to find out whether digital technologies have an effect on the reading and spelling of students with ADHD. These are the students that they know very well how it is to learn what we consider a normal environment for them. It's an extreme environment. So we did a very small pilot in Ireland only. As you can see, there were representatives from most counties in Ireland, and we had 117 students diagnosed with ADHD in the age between 8 to 12. Now, this is one of the biggest projects with this type of stakeholders. And back then we used market-based augmented reality. And we had content, web-based content in terms of English literacy. I will not go into detail. You can always find out through my publications the process of the development. But what I want to show you is the impact of such a project that has made. So we actually wanted to figure out what was the improvement in terms of accuracy in English literacy, comprehension, reading rate, and spelling. Now, if you see on the right-hand side, everything has increased. And here, the last two columns is the digital tools. As you can see here, this is negative, but that's exactly what we wanted in terms of the reading rate, because students, normally they have comorbidities, so it's not just ADHD or students with ASD, they would skip words or they would skip lines. So what we wanted to do is, with the intervention of augmented reality content, to make them focus, read slower, and comprehend better. And this is what was proven. Further to that, it wasn't just a research project that made an impact on metrics. It made an impact because these kids were always the kids that would be sent outside the classroom. They were the troublemakers. And now everybody was happy, they were focused, and it made a change to family life, and it made a change as well for their future education. Since this started in 2016-17, and I still get some emails from parents about their progress, and everybody is very happy. In terms of standardized tests, we use the STEM test here in Ireland, and you can see here, for example, a student has improved from STEM 4 to STEM 6 across the board in both vocabulary and comprehension. I didn't use any technological equipment based on neurological analysis. I was focused only on the standardized tests. Then I moved on to another idea, because that was only for the Irish students in primary schools. And I wanted to find out whether augmented reality would make a change in other subjects. So we moved on with the Arete Horizon 2020 project back in 2019. We got evaluated with a 15 out of 15 ESR. And I want to say special thanks to Asja, who was our project officer for the first year of the project from Luxembourg. So within this project, we wanted to have interactive technologies, and we wanted to develop and evaluate an interactive augmented reality content toolkit. The market was segmented at that point, and still is. There is lots of tools in augmented reality, but authoring tools are very expensive. So I wanted to make an open source authoring toolkit to empower the teachers to create their own augmented reality content for their classrooms. We applied human-centered interaction, so we had interaction with many stakeholders in Europe, and we piloted and evaluated these technologies in 4 different pilots. As you can see, here is the consortium from our partners in Europe, and we also applied ethics for education. Within the GDPR procedure that we have in Europe, we followed all the processes, and throughout the process and throughout the interviews, I have figured out that there were no standards for XR ethics in education. So I have initiated new standards now. You are more than welcome to join my IEEE working group. It's the PAR 7016.1. where we're building the standards for educational metadata that we all need for the metaverse. The pilots now for the Arete project, the first one was a continuation from the AHA project in terms of English language literacy. Pilot 2 was focused on STEM sciences, on geography and geometry. Pilot 3, we wanted to do a unique and very innovative solution in terms of application of augmented reality in positive behavior interventions and whether we can impact the children in school to have a positive behavior. And Pilot 4, actually Pilot 4 came out in the last year of the project because through the interviews with the teachers, we found these digital age gap between their students, and we wanted to actually train the teachers of using the authoring toolkit and create their own augmented reality scenes. Actually, the flight I'm getting is the flight to Athens because Monday I will be presenting this to the Ministry of Education in Athens, and we have stakeholders to show them how to do it. Now, just to show you the extent of the actual project in terms of stakeholders, we had around 3,000 students at the end we worked with, and from different countries. At the end, many countries joined, even outside Europe. It was a very successful project. The pilot one mainly focused on the cognitive impact and gamification. So we had the input, the output, and a lot of technical development in terms of the apps for the English literacy. And this is how it looks like, the interface. For the pilot 2, the STEM apps, we have the geometry and geography, and they're free to download. You're more than welcome, and you can contact me if you want the code to access the content. We have in the Arete geography and geometry, it's like a toolkit. So we have interactive maps, we have interactive workbooks, interactive worksheets, and we cover not just countries. The students can see, for example, in a continent, the flora, the fauna, the heritage, the weather, and it's all interactive and the students are enjoying it. Now, for example, we have also gamification, so students from different schools or from different classes in the school, they can play together the games within geography or geometry. Within the actual pilot 3, which was the positive behavior application, that was very innovative and nothing similar exists. We created an avatar, the AR Pro, and you can download the application and have AR Pro in your class and design it so that it can have the different behaviors that you want the students to implement if there is some kind of disruption in the school environment. And you can see here there is different action steps, and the students can pause, for example, from moving, or they can just have some kind of a dialogue. But in the interest of time, I'll just leave you to experiment maybe with the apps on your own time. We have the Moodle digital repository, so we have created our own plugin, and the teachers can upload their augmented reality scenes and share them with their classroom, and the students can see the augmented reality tasks. I will show you now a little bit of how the augmented reality works. Those not familiar, augmented reality is actually the 3D contents within the real environment, so the students don't get distracted from the slides.
Reality is alive. Oh. Oh. Oh.
Actually, what you see here is the ghost function of the authoring toolkit that we have. As you can see, it's not a specific gender, but what you see around you is an environment, and then you can implement for the virtual avatar teacher to have some actions within this environment. So we decided to use Moodle as the repository plugin. The reason for that, and you're all familiar with this, is because it has around 321 billion users. There is plenty of sites and countries. We have the Mirage XR application for the authoring toolkit. It's open source. All my projects have open source software. And feel free to maybe implement it in Greece and to disseminate it and make your teachers create their own content. I'm actually planning to have a big dissemination event around Europe within this. This is the actual interface of the Moodle, where those familiar with Moodle, you will have different components. Now we have added another plugin where you can add your activity, which is augmented reality, and your students can view it. This is the QR codes. If you want to download the authoring toolkit, Mirage XR for Android, Mirage XR for the Apple, iOS. If you have a HoloLens, you can download the Mirage XR app for your Arete Moodle instance. And arete.ucd.ie is where our repository is. I would like to have special thanks for all the participants around the world, for all 4 pilots, for such successful experience. And it was a memorable experience. It continues being a memorable experience. And the new age technologies, they are a key to boost knowledge, boost economies, and broadcast actually for the future past the lockdown. So we are moving from the standardized 2D screen, and we are moving to a more interactive environment. It's reality embedded learning, and we can create content in different subjects. We can simulate scenarios. It's not just science subjects. We are doing lots of case studies with business, and for example, archaeologists can use it. So it is not just for science. So think about your subjects and where these can be applied. So there is one thing using augmented reality or extended reality, and there is another thing to create with augmented reality. I think 90% of the users have experienced only using augmented reality. So what we offer with this platform is to jump over to another extreme where you take ownership of your content, you create your own authoring scenes with augmented reality for your school, share it if you want with other schools, and be an author of augmented reality. This is how it looks like when you are in your own space and you download the application. And what you see here is the borders. You see the aura where your legs are. And then you can see how your hands show. And here we have a 3D objects. Actually, within the authoring toolkit, you can sign in to Sketchfab free account, and there is free objects. You can upload your own photo. You can upload your teacher's photo. You can make anything changes you want in the menu. So for example, we put AR Pro here, the one that we used for Pilot 3. And next to it, you can see there is a menu. So you can even pre-record, you can make Alpro to stand or to say hi.
Hey, listen to your teacher. Hey, listen to your teacher.
And then this is the ghost function here that you can edit.
This is an electronic microscope. Up here, you have the viewfinder. Look
the lenses here to get different zoom levels. This is the specimen tray. The light comes from below. On this dial here, you can adjust the distance so as to set the zoom level. Dip your head in here to see what is in your specimen tray.
And the authoring toolkit is multi-platform. You can use the headset or you can use your mobile app. You can use it even on your mobile user interface as well. I won't go into detail. Those with technical background, you can appreciate the effort behind building such a platform. We had 30 developers, 10 of them were funded from the Horizon 2020, and the rest were volunteers that wanted to contribute. In terms, as you can see from the open developer community, we have released the last version since May the 5th, 2024, 4 apps, 12 releases totally, lines of code around 200,000. And we had lots of issues that were closed and different requests from the public that we have resolved. In terms of Ireland, you can see the content it keeps on getting higher and higher as the time passes. And we use the standard, we use Ireland standards, and we also won the Standards Award from Sense and ELEC as the best research project in 2022. And so the ARETA pilots, they were an investment for the future of XR education. It finished in 2023. AWISA had it ready before the pandemic, but I'm happy for it to be used. It can be used for any school at any level and for any type of student and teachers. So in terms of the different pilots, we've learned a lot of lessons. Pilot 1, students were very active, very useful feedback. It was just in some rural areas, the access to the devices, the issue. Pilot 2, as you can see, 2,500 students, 128 teachers. They appear to be quite IT savvy, the STEM teachers in all around Europe. And the horizon is strictly of 1 school year. So sometimes it's tricky when you recruit teachers and then they change schools. In terms of data collection, we had in all pilots intervention and control groups. And we figured out on the impact its pilot had through the standardized tests and the statistical analysis and also data analytics that we used. Generally, in pilot 1, students in both groups improved, but there was a larger effect in the intervention group. So there is definitely an impact from extended reality in this specific application. So in terms of the STEM, you can see here in pilot 2, statistically, we had significant interaction effect between the different groups. And you can see that students from the intervention group, they developed significantly higher scores. And we did some teacher surveys and some interviews as well. It was a continuous co-design, co-development with the stakeholders during the project. So the advantages that we saw from the first 2 pilots, student motivation, student classroom engagement, learning achievements, and of course, the contributions to the teaching and learning, because we could have open educational resources. We opened up the marketplace, so the content is all there included. Of course, there are problems and barriers. We have problems with the technology, the accessibility, but everybody that was on board were happy to actually continue with the project. And I will actually not provide more. I'll just want to tell you about the pilot 3. It was very innovative, 750 students total in this. And in pilot 4, again, the authoring toolkit that I just showed you, 109 teachers from these different countries were involved. And it didn't include a classroom implementation, and this is something that we would like to investigate further and take the authoring toolkit and ask the teachers to actually connect their lesson plans within these contents. So overall, the teachers had mixed but often positive evaluations and very positive feedback on student motivation and the impact that it has. So thank you very much, and I hope I didn't exceed the time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, now we are moving to the correct order of the presenters, and I would like to ask Dr. Sandra Kuzina-Softic, Vice President of Eden, and she is going to talk about the European Digital Education Hub, a major initiative that I think it's now 1 year old, and it's expected to be the common point, the hub for digital education in Europe. And Eden is one of the key partners in the development of this initiative. Sandra, you have the floor. Just a moment. Okay. Είναι η πρώτη ομιλία.
Yes, ευχαριστώ. Αυτή.
Νομίζω εδώ τις έχουμε με το ένα. Όχι.
Thank you very much. Thank you for Sophocles for inviting me to Elena Germanicki Agogi, I don't want to say old partner of Eden, but a long-time partner of Eden. I'm happy to be here in the name of the Eden Digital Learning Europe, the association with whom the Elena Germanicki Agogi is collaborating in the Open Classroom Conference. And as Sophocles showed, we started with Crisis in 2011 and finished in 2021. So I hope the crisis is over so we can move on with that. Also, I'm very interested to hear about the project, the final conference of the project, because the partners from Croatia are in this project, and I'm from Croatia, so I know that it's important to connect all the schools. We also have rural and remote schools at the islands in Croatia, and it's always challenging to ensure the same quality of education for children which are not in the towns. As Sophocles said, I will talk about Digital Education Hub, but first of all, I have to say a few words about Eden. Like this. Okay. So you can see Eden is a leading network for advancing digital education. We have more than 30 years of continuity in open distance and now digital education across Europe and beyond. And as you spoke today before, it's important to ensure digital competencies of teachers. This is my topic as well. Of teachers, and if we have digitally competent teachers, then we are able to have digitally competent students. So how to ensure digital competence of teachers, of not only teachers, but also of policymakers, of administrative staff as well. These are all important stakeholders in the educational process, because if one of them is missing, then we cannot make this digital shift, we cannot make full digital transformation. So Eden is like a community, it's like a platform where everyone can collaborate and work together and to share information. And I think that's most important, because if each of us are doing the same thing on our own, we will not advance. What we need is to share our knowledge, our know-how, our experience, and join together to move on and build further. Otherwise, we will have many same examples, but not advanced one. So we organize within Eden a number of activities in order to tackle and talk about the most present and important topics related to digital learning and teaching, and to provide the ground for collaboration and joining efforts. When the pandemic hit, I know that we were all very much, I would say, shocked what to do now. And I'm very happy that Eden at that moment, you know, if you recall, it was in the March 2020. On the March 30, Eden started with the online together webinars, which lasted for 2 years, which gathered around all the educators and tried to provide answers to all the questions we had: how to do it online, what to do online, how to organize teaching online. And I'm very happy that we managed to gather the community, those who had the expertise and those who needed expertise, together to share and to collaborate and to exchange. And I think that communities of practice, which existed before, but at that moment were reborn actually, and much stronger, and today are very present. And because of these communities of practice, I'm certain that we can do things better. So one of our activities, Open Classroom Conference, which we have today, but these are the other conferences and activities we organize. And one of them is also European Digital Education Hub, where we are partners with the European Commission. How Digital Education Hub started, because it is based on Digital Education Action Plan. You heard today about it from the policy officer in this Learning from Extreme project. So it has 13 action, 2 strategic priorities, and 1 goal. And this is high quality, inclusive digital education. So these are numbers of action, and what the European Digital Education Hub is doing is providing the platform, it's providing the collaborative community for digital education stakeholders in Europe and beyond. And it doesn't mean that it's only for one sector, it's for all education and training sectors, from early childhood education to vocational education training, higher education, school training, adult learning, so everyone is involved. The aim is to improve cooperation on digital education at EU level, because only if we work in a sustainable and systematic way, we can achieve some changes, we can make some shifts. And there are a number of activities like community for cooperation, knowledge sharing and mapping, accelerating innovation in digital education. And so if you are interested to join European Digital Education Hub, you can do it just using this QR code or going in this way. I think that each of us can benefit by joining this hub. It doesn't mean that you have to be present every day, but from time to time, you will see something interesting that will be of interest to you, and just by collaborating, listening, participating, you will widen your knowledge, you will widen your expertise, you will find new friends, new partners, and by working on that level, definitely you can improve the quality of your own teaching. So what you can find on the European Digital Education Hub, as I said, there are a number of activities. Eden especially engaged in knowledge-building events. It participates in the other events, but in this one particularly. And this is the announcement for the next webinar, which will be on January 24th, on the topic of transsectorial perspective on sustainability in educational institutions. So you are free to join and to participate in this webinar. I can announce the topics for the next few months. If you see, it's March, it's learning spaces and environments. April, Europa solutions for micro-credentials, and May, ethics in artificial intelligence. When you join European Hub, you can also enroll for the newsletter, so you can receive new letters on the monthly basis. Also, I want to take this opportunity to say what Eden is doing and organizing. It can also be of interest to you. So the day after the webinar on the Hub, there is the Eden NAP webinar. NAP is Network of Academics and Researchers. So all the institutions and individuals who are members of Eden are actually Eden NAP network. And within the network, we organize regularly some webinars. So this one is a reflection on generative artificial intelligence and scholarly publishing. So I think it can be definitely of interest to you. Also, at the moment, artificial intelligence is a hot topic, definitely. So we have a special issue call for EURODL. So it's our journal. It's a European Journal of Open Distance and E-Learning. So deadline for papers is the end of the February. So maybe someone is interested in this. I would like to announce our annual conference. You all received the bookmarks. It will be in Graz this year. And it's also going to be tackling the issues of artificial intelligence in education. And in October, if you want to plan much in forward, is a research workshop which will be in Timișoara in Romania. And by coming to my last slide, I didn't want to be long. I took the title Learning from Extreme from this project, and this is what came to my mind first. It's a community. What we do, we learn together. When we learn together, we learn better because we can talk. We can say it out loud. We can exchange views. We can argue. We can dispute. We can explain. So this is better learning than just listening or reading. What we need to do as teachers is to be able to unlearn and relearn things. You know, I've been teaching, and I cannot teach in the same way as I was teaching 20 years ago, because the students are not the same. The environment is not the same. The technologies are not the same. The society is not the same. So I cannot be very active citizens in the 21st century in a society and in my free time, but when I come to the classroom to be the old teacher, just taking the chalk and the board and saying you students have to listen and to write in the book. So it doesn't work anymore. What we need to have is to have open mind for new things. Sometimes we will make mistakes. It's fine. No one is perfect. But what we need is to learn from the mistakes and to move on. Definitely extremes move us to innovation. You know, without the crisis, there will not be any changes. Crisis is something that makes us to move on, to do things better. Otherwise, we are very comfortable in our zones and not moving, you know. Why should I do something if I don't have to? So we have to take the extremes, the crisis, as catalysts for making changes. And last one, resilience. This is what we need today most, because we do not know what is going to be tomorrow. It can be another pandemic, but it can be a war. It can be something different, but we have to be prepared, and we have to ensure that education is available to everyone at any time, at any place. So we need resilience. So thank you.
Thank you so much for presenting, let's say, all the actions of Eden. By the way, with Eden, we were working together back in 2009 in a very big initiative called Rural Wings, trying to support rural schools with satellite terminals. And the support that we had from the network was really very, very big. So we have, so let's proceed. Dr. Sofia Cholidi, consultant at the Institute of Educational Institute, was our captain the last 2 years in this transformation, school transformation journey. And as the project coordinator, she has to present the results of the project in the framework of this conference, which is organized in the framework of the project, of course. Sophia, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being with us, and welcome to our Learning from the Extremes Open Classroom Conference 2024. As project coordinator of LFE, I have the great honor to present it to you. Technology evolution has given the individuals the opportunity to achieve their goals as quickly and effectively as possible. It's been indissolubly connected to growth and economic development, and it's considered one of the most important factors that contribute to having access to people, information, and services. For people in urban areas, high-speed communication, access in technology, and use of digital services may be given. However, for those who live in rural areas, it's not. In rural communities, the underdeveloped communication infrastructure has a direct impact to their economic and social welfare, as it's deterring for businesses and industries to make investments in general. Therefore, the necessity of developing telecommunication services and providing for these areas high technology infrastructure is huge. Domains such as education, health, economy, civil management and administration, and society in general can benefit from access to improved communications, commerce, and information. The above limitations result in having schools with no or limited access to internet resources, and in turn, teachers and students with only a few or no opportunities to deploy digital tools and contents during their lessons. The divide between urban and rural areas does not only concern the access to technology and services, but also the creation of knowledge. For instance, a professional in a remote area with limited or no access to broadband cannot use digital applications and contents, whereas his counterpart in an urban area has a broadband connection with low cost and access to any type of knowledge. The broadband access cost in a poor rural area is very high for an individual who has low literacy rates and a poor career training. Thus, it's unlikely that he cannot afford it, and that is why large-scale technology initiatives have little hope of success unless at least a basic level of community capacity is in place. This graph shows young people's digital skills in all European countries and the divide between urban and rural areas. In short, the present graph scans the horizon of Europe and the needs that many countries have in relation to digital skills. As we see, there are countries that show big difference in terms of digital skills between urban and rural areas, such as Bulgaria, Ireland, Greece, Croatia, Cyprus, Portugal, and Finland. And these 10 countries are the ones that participated in Learning from the Extremes project. In relation to the use of digital technologies in education, there is data showing that less than 1 out of 5 European students attend schools which have access to high-speed internet. Large differences between and within European countries surely exist, with schools specifically located in rural areas and villages, or small cities lagging far behind. During the COVID pandemic, schools faced severe challenges with the switch to distance and online learning. Due to their limited digital readiness, the pandemic made it clear that schools were lacking the resources and infrastructures to switch to new ways of teaching and learning. Many teachers lack relevant digital competencies or teaching materials for remote schools, and students often lack connectivity or access to digital devices, tools, and content at the place where they learn. The consequent loss of learning opportunities impacted especially those living in rural areas. The call for pilot projects and preparatory actions in the field of communications, networks, content and technology, and especially the call for a preparatory action to increase access to educational tools in areas and communities with low connectivity or access to technology, was a timely initiative to research and pilot school projects that would enable them to advance the quality and sustainability of teaching and learning in remote and rural schools, and to reinforce the interaction between schools and local communities. In this framework, Learning from the Extremes project was born. It aimed at addressing inequalities of access to digital education by enhancing inclusion and by reducing the digital gap suffered by school communities from remote areas, offering a vision of what can be achieved with adequate investment in ICT infrastructure, tools and content, and financing rural schools. Based on the HEC highly equipped and connected classroom model and its 3 scenarios, namely the entry level, the advanced level, and the cutting-edge level. Intending to lay the conceptual foundations for the design of the Learning from the Extremes approach and focusing on primary, lower, and upper secondary, including vocational education, the LFE project attempted to map the emerging trends, opportunities, and challenges in the intersection of digital learning for schools through a carefully coordinated, intensive process of critical forward thinking among all members of the consortium and the rural school community's stakeholders. Conducting desk research, interviews with stakeholders and experts from OECD, education authorities and European SchoolNet, and a small-scale survey, LFE tried to define the main challenges for rural education, especially in the aftermath of the COVID pandemic. Relevant stakeholders are the students and their families, the teachers and the school staff, education authorities and school boards, community organizations and leaders, local and national government officials and policymakers, businesses and employers in the local area, and finally, higher education institutions, research organizations, and NGOs. Learning from the Extremes, aiming at demonstrating the use of various new technologies and applications that can work as tools for inspired teachers and students, covering their needs according to their background and current activities or aspirations in remote communities around Europe, addressing the different needs of such diverse user groups, seek to transform these needs to creative options by providing a range of learning methods and instructional approaches and corresponding to diverse learning circumstances in the various remote settings. A fast-track mechanism was set up to coordinate and implement a cycle of open calls for proposals, their evaluation, the selection of the most promising ones, their funding, their monitoring, and their finalization. An effective recruitment campaign was designed targeting the right stakeholders, including local and national authorities, schools, and school networks, disseminating the open call far and wide, and managing the submission of the proposals and the selection process of the applicants, whereas a systematic evaluation process was also developed. More specifically, the Learning from the Extremes Consortium prepared and published a call of proposals to fund the deployment of pilots at primary, secondary, and vocational schools. The funding was up to 20,000 euros, and the duration of the selected projects was up to 12 months. The total available funding for the calls was 1,200,000 euros. 290 projects from all 10 participating countries were submitted for evaluation. 76 projects were selected through the evaluation process, with 123 schools, more than 600 teachers, and approximately 14,000 students involved in. The selected projects and the best practices come from Greece, Finland, Portugal, Ireland, Croatia, Cyprus, Bulgaria, Spain, Italy, and Romania. Aiming at reducing the undoubtedly digital gap experienced and suffered by school communities in rural areas, LFE project team attempted to provide recommendations for rural schools for strategic, innovative, and effective digital transformation by utilizing the resources and support, along with additional information and other useful resources. The Rural Schools Innovation Strategies aim to provide the core strategies for the digital transformation journey of the rural schools that received financial support through the LFE project. The LFE team provided a strong support mechanism and needs-based training services to ensure the successful implementation of rural schools' innovative projects. The strategies proposed for schools' digital transformation were organized around 3 key thematic group areas: organization and support for rural schools, equity and excellence in rural schools, and rural schools as community and educational spaces. Specific recommendations and key resources were provided to ensure that the digital transformation journey of the rural schools would enable them to grow into sustainable innovation organizations. In order to supplement the available tools for innovation in hands of school stakeholders, an inventory of best practices and successful applications of how to increase access to digital education solutions was built up, focusing on schools located in remote areas. Utilizing the same thematic areas as those of strategies, 55 best practices on how to increase access to digital educational solutions in rural schools were selected, classified into 6 dimensions, and are available on the LFE platform. The best practices emerged from the participatory engagement activities held in the participating countries with the support of the LFE national coordinators and the constant communication they had with their local networks of stakeholders. The rural schools participating in the LFE project could use them as reference points to help them identify and address their needs in digital infrastructure, network devices, software, and digital content, and read examples of professional learning opportunities related to digital and rural education. In addition, successful school leadership practices, practices that support personalized and inclusive learning, networking with stakeholders, and community learning inspired them when implementing their innovation plans. These best practices facilitated the innovation, but can do the same to any other rural school. The creation of a strong network of users at national and international level was one of the key aspects for the writing of a success story. In LFE, a strong support mechanism was created and maintained by the community building team in support and with collaboration of all national coordinators and members of the consortium. The vision of the support mechanism was to set the basis for a strong collaboration network for the LFE schools, to provide the necessary guidance, consultation, and support, and to present a space for the exchange of good practices, to build joint projects around mutual interests, and to be a space where all participants develop a sense of belonging. Therefore, the main three targets of community support and training were developing communities of practices, matching the scenarios and needs, and monitoring the process. The support mechanism of learning from the extremes relies on a community building platform, is a complex network of cross-created techniques, tools, and resources, and aggregates the necessary support for the successful creation of the school projects and activities. Its aim was to help headmasters and educators to materialize the development plan of the school on a coherent way where the design of the journey was transformed into projects that are in line with the desired outcome. For this to be properly supported, a series of tools were made available to enable the construction of the necessary steps towards the improvement of the competence profile of educators and learners in line with the DCOMPEDU presentation of techniques to engage the communities as a whole, design thinking techniques, and tools to support the tracking of the school transformation. The overall work was based on a path that starts with the school's reflection, followed by a transformation development plan. The starting point is the self-reflection tool and the school development plan, with the former describing where the school stands and the latter illustrating its vision and where it wants to go. This is where the innovation journey starts from. Aiming to validate the impact of the implemented strategies, the technology tools and/or infrastructure that was employed in the pilot classrooms of the participating schools, LFE designed assessment activities to be run during the whole lifespan, whole school year of the large-scale pilots. The proposed methodology studied the expected impacts from multiple perspectives, allowing comparisons between classes that follow different teaching approaches and thus contributing to a deeper understanding of the field. The overall methodology reflected the objectives of the project, the KPIs, and the key stakeholders, involved a mix of quantitative and qualitative instruments, and focused on the pre-post self-reflection process of the schools based on the use of self-reflection surveys. It was recommended that the R4C SRT should be utilized primarily, as this integrates components from both SELFIE and OSUS SRT. The school performance between the two measurements was the reference point for the overall intervention of the project. The assessment framework also sought to describe the capturing of qualitative aspects of stakeholder impact through the use of workshops, focus groups, interviews, and tracking of student interest progression via surveys of pre-post reflection. At the following tables, we can see the results from the pre and post SRTs that each participating school has conducted at the beginning and at the end of the school's project's piloting. They show the frequencies of the final scores of the whole sample with an indication of a normal distribution. and the improvement that has been shown is 24.54%. The picture of the impact is even clearer by looking at this graph. As far as the outcomes of the LFE project is concerned, a strategy was developed based on the insight gained by the collected data, the various dialogues with stakeholders, and running the deployment pilots regarding how to increase access to digital education in remote areas and communities with low connectivity, limited or no access to devices and digital educational tools and content throughout EU. Complementary to the pool of best practices, this constituted a publication of ready-to-use guidelines and standards, the Rural Schools Innovation Roadmap. The key outcome of the project was to give a concrete overview of what is known so far about the implementation of school innovation in general and to incorporate these insights into the transformation journey. Therefore, the Rural School Innovation Roadmap is basically a pool of suggested actions that can be taken into account in order to support schools' digital transformation journey, develop future policy plans, and make investments. The key recommendations for teachers are the following. Firstly, schools need a clear vision and leadership to embark on their transformation journey towards digital change and innovation. More specifically, school leaders need to create a shared vision of how digital innovation can better meet the needs of all learners and to develop a plan that translates the vision into action. This begins with the needs analysis, which should be carried out with stakeholders at different levels, including school management, parental community groups, classroom teachers, special education needs coordinators, and societies for education and training, and where possible, student representatives. Secondly, they need to form a digital transformation action plan, which should start small and scale up. This allows the school to come to terms with the introduction of a relatively small inventory of technology. Trying to do too much at once can cause a strain on time, and training resources could cause resistance from teachers. Also, they need a plan to scale up the use of technology using similar approaches over the next years. They also need to establish a cultural leader or champion. A stakeholder or group of stakeholders, such as teachers, principals, or administrative staff, must take on the role of cultural champion to oversee the implementation, training, and support for the new technologies. This stakeholder should arrange training schedules and be a point of contact to support, encourage, and motivate other teachers. Once teachers have brought into the digital transformation, they themselves often become champions, thereby creating a proliferation effect. Then they should promote the school as a community technology hub. The teachers' efforts to showcase their technology to the community led to a number of benefits. The school became visible as a technology learning hub, therefore increasing opportunities for further investment from local businesses or parents' groups. Also, allowing students to disseminate their work further increased their motivation to do further work. Forged collaborative ties. Teachers gained valuable inspiration for new projects based on seeing what other schools were doing. Schools could upload their projects to an online portal supplied by the LFE project, whereby teachers could then view the projects and try them in their own school. This also allowed schools to contact each other, to plan further collaborations, and indeed share resources, thereby creating informal school networks. Legacy planning. In many schools, a detrimental effect of teacher turnover from year to year was seen. To mitigate the impact of such a scenario, schools have created training material and documentation which can be passed on to new champions, such as to create a continuous and uninterrupted line of support for teachers. In conclusion, learning from the Extremes project, aligned with the European Union's action plan regarding having digital equity among European countries in relation to proper infrastructure, including connectivity and access to digital devices, tools, and content, has significantly contributed to the EU's long-term strategic vision that aims, among others, at providing opportunities regarding the quality and quantity of teaching digital technologies, supporting the digitization of teaching and pedagogical methods, as well as creating an infrastructure required for durable and without exclusions learning. Digital technologies and broadband access have the potential to boost more inclusive and sustainable growth by spurring innovation, generating efficiencies, and improving services. Before I close my presentation and before I give the floor to the next keynote speaker, I would like to thank our project officer, Asia Sattler, whose guidance and support during the project's life cycle helped us make this project a true story. The president of the Hellenic Institute of Educational Policy, Professor Dukakis, the former and the current steering board of Hellenic IP, for trusting for the IP team to coordinate the project, all the project partners and their team members. From Greece, my fellow team members, Eleni Taratsa, Polixeni Bila, Maria Nika, Stathis Stiliari, Χρύσα Πετράκη, Χριστίνα Σικά, Αγγελική Δαλακιάρη, Ανίτα Σπανάκη, Βαγγέλη Νάτσιο, Κλέρη Σιακαγιάννη, Ζαφυρία Κρέτσι, Ελληνογερμανική Αγωγή, Science View, Net Company Intrasoft, from Croatia, Carnet, from Cyprus, Pedagogical Institute of Cyprus, University of Cyprus, from Portugal, DGE and Nucleo, from Finland, University of Jyväskylä, from Ireland, DWEC and Trinity College Dublin, from Bulgaria, NRNA, from Belgium, at IT, but last but not least, those who proved that the extremes can make a difference for all. Allow me to introduce them to you. Sophocles, I need some help. Υπάρχει ένα βίντεο.
Thank you so much. With the next speaker, we met back in 1999 in an Eden conference in Moscow. At that time, he was presenting the idea of supporting rural schools through radio, through TV, and numerous other channels that were available in the Aegean Sea. Professor Emeritus Konstantinos Tsolakidis, he has worked at the University of Aegean, the Network University as we call it in Greece, for many years, supporting teachers and schools in rural areas. So I think it's really very important to hear his views about rural education. Professor Tsolakidis, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I think so. We'll try and see how it goes. If we have a problem, there's no mouse. Okay. Πού είναι εδώ. Αυτό είναι. Okay. Αυτό πίσω. Okay. Hello. Hello, friends and colleagues. I'm Kostas Tsolakidis, and I've been working with Elno Germaniki Agougi for so many years. I want to thank, first of all, Savas and Stelios, Stavros and Stelios Savas that they accepted me here, and they invited me, and of course the Sophocles Sotiriou, with whom I worked with for so many years. Thank you again for Eden, that we've been cooperating for so long. I want to thank my colleagues in the Ministry of the Education that I got some data from, and of course the Director of the Primary Education in Greece, Haralambos Psaras, that has been giving me all this help. And I want to stress that with Sophocles we had a lot of projects, a lot of effort, and a lot of knowledge, and a lot of fun. And we're discussing the next project while they are coming from the airport, from a meeting for the other, like tiles in the roof. The one length is finishing and the other was starting. And of course, lots of fun, wine, and lots of animals are landing on our plates. So the contents of this the talk is like this, but I have always the temptation of producing contents after so many notes and programs and all the rest of it that I've been preparing. I think it's changing on its own. That's the trouble of changing the computer. I think it's changing after some minutes. Can we do something about it? Anyway, I'll change it back. I started with my work with. Is it possible? Yes. Το ξέρω ότι είναι αυτό, αλλά δεν θέλω να γυρίζει μόνο του. Okay. Μόνο με το ποντίκι. Οκ, δεν πειράζει. Εντάξει. Θα το βρούμε. I started with the multi-grade schools in a meeting of mayors and in Cyprus, and I met with the mayor of Tilos that he wanted to have a lab for his school. Didn't have a lab, so I said, well, all right, we can do a lab. And after the necessary preparations, we were there going with a helicopter from Rhodes to Tilos after he has interventions. And later on, that the teacher for ICT was missing from the school, but we didn't have any at all. So we started doing that, and we did, in fact, the first distance teaching from Rhodes to Tilos using two PSTN lines, simple two PSTN lines that were used for that. You can see some pictures from the live teaching, and of course the helicopter where all sorts of people were there. Later on, we discussed about doing a bigger project with the Ministry of the Aegean. The Ministry of the Aegean is something that doesn't exist now, but it had played a big role in this effort. It financed a kind of project that we had 88, maybe 90 with all these damages in all these schools. We did all face-to-face training, distance training, distance support. Distance support is something very special. I have to mention something about it. Distance support means, at that time in 2000, this was in 2000, that's the idea. 2000, distance support means in 2000 we didn't have many people doing knowing about Windows, but we did have a basis, a database of people that the son of Mrs. Mary that runs the grocery shop knows how to operate the computer, so he was sending him. Or in another island we had a man from the army attending the computer and the local doctor teaching English. So these are important informations for later. The effort continued. We had many more projects, many of them in rural areas and multi-grade schools. But all include advanced technology. We had all sorts of robotics, virtual reality, and everything else. These were not for the multi-grade schools. But all the projects led to innovation, creation, and practical applications of an idea. Yet, there was something else. There was an obvious target, STEAM. Well, it's all right, it's trendy, but effectively we're looking for information technology. Apart from that, we had new ways of teaching to make life easier and more advanced in a school rather than somebody's talking all the time. Okay, let us, it's going to give me some trouble, this thing. I've sent the thing, so it's changing on its own. So what is a multi-grade school? Everybody knows, I think. Well, for the people that you don't know, multi-grade school is a school that changes, that has a teacher in a room that is addressing many grades. Many grades means could have 2 or maybe 6, which is kind of a ridiculous situation, but it's a very important to do. So multi-grade schools, we mentioned about multi-grade schools, we mean these schools, and can be with 1 teacher, with 2 teachers, and 3 teachers. Of course, multi-grade teaching can happen to the 4-teacher and 5-teacher school, but we mentioned at the moment our research, our discussion is going to be considered only to this kind of schools that are on top of the yellow frame. These are the teachers, and these are the schools. We have to discuss about few items. First of all, the term in English and in Greek. The term in English means multi-grade, means many grades. The term in Greek means oligothesia, that means fewer positions for the teachers. So there is an attitude. The English think different, and we think in another way. Related meanings to that is that rural schools, isolated schools, and remote schools. This could be one or the other. We have the furthest school is in Castellorizo, which is, I don't know, maybe 500 kilometers, 600 kilometers away from Athens. The remote school, the most difficult school to get, well, you can go to this school by plane, 1 hour. But the most difficult school to get, we've been together with Sophocles, is 6 hours by car within the mainland, in mountains and mountains and mountains. So where are the multi-grade schools located? Well, after this talk, we know that they are located in the southern of Europe and in the northern of Europe. The difficulty is in geography. In the middle of Europe, things are much easier, so there aren't many. In the Balkans, a lot. The number of multi-grade schools. Multi-grade schools are reducing dramatically because of regions. And why the multi-grade are reducing in numbers, we have to discuss about this. The number of multi-grade schools in Greece, this was some years ago. It's not the 57% or 42% that is being reduced. It's far more, because the actual number of schools in Greece are reducing as well. So it's not only that, it's reducing dramatically much more. This applies to here too. These are the fresh data. The fresh data is like that. You can see that the schools are not reducing anymore. There are 2 reasons for this. First of all, we're reaching a point that we cannot reduce them anymore because of the islands. And another thing is that some of the conventional schools are becoming multi-grade schools because of the lack of students. So this is the result of that. The pupils in the multi-grade schools are reducing. That's the main thing. So we have the multi-grade schools are reducing because they're reducing in numbers. We have to find out why they are reducing in numbers. One reason is urbanization. People are living in cities, they go away from their villages for better jobs. That's the main thing, better jobs. Then better education, better training, better health, better entertainment, whatever better. On time, the number of number schools is reducing in the world. This is the world situation. It changed, and only the urban population reached the rural population in 2007. Urbanization takes place and will continue as a trend. This is the situation in Greece, latest data. Since the 60s, we are kind of reduced the rural population, and we are keep increasing with the results that we have seen. That's the situation in Greece. Then urbanization is one thing, but it's not only that. We have the low birth rate. People are not having babies anymore, not totally. Well, this is if the level of keeping the population stable is 2.1 kids per woman. This is the situation in all continents, and in Africa is reducing dramatically. The forecast is again gloomy. This is the situation in Greece. The situation is desperate. Latest today in the newspaper Tovima has shown that by 2050, the population under 60 would be 1,800,000 less as they projected. So these are the reasons for the reduction of the multi-grade schools. Why we are interested in this? It's an important element of life in the periphery. First of all, it's a democratic right of the people that they live there. And then we have to protect the life of people, to protect our areas, and to protect the agriculture that relies mainly on the people that they live in the rural areas. And let us go to this nice drawing we like with Sophocles. That's the multi-grade school. We have some factors against it. We have some factors for it. Against it is the economic aspect of it, the way we judge it, because we think that there are very few students do not justify the salaries of so many teachers. So the teachers are reduced, so the school becomes multi-grade. Another reason against it is the administrative reason. People do not want, if there are two schools next to each other, one of them is closing, provided transportation for the kids to go to the other, and that's one reason. Another reason is teachers do not like to go to multi-grade schools, so the unions of teachers are against them altogether. It started with negotiation in 1970, the whole thing. For it is the educational aspect. We have to provide education. That's the only way. The society is for them. They like it. They support it. They want to have it. And, well, the political aspect of it, we have not to overcome it. If you know a very substantial, kind of well-known politician, influential, then you have a better chance for the school to remain. That's one thing. And, of course, national. If you are near the border, if you are in an island near the border, you have to keep the population there. Otherwise, the situation becomes tricky. You have to have the population to hold it there. Okay. There are educational matters. Multi-grade schools is an interesting education paradigm. They learn, the teachers teach in different modes, self-teaching, peer teaching, conventional teaching, and everything else. So it's a kind of, from educational point of view, it's very interesting. The time is of paramount importance. The time of the teacher is very, very precious. He has to overcome it with a lot of organization beforehand. He has to know what to do, and he has to know what to say to each individual group, and of course, sometimes if it needed, to each individual person, a student, that needs some more attention. So time is of paramount importance. To this extent, ICT comes to help with the situation. How? Of course, by having various computers, you can allocate jobs to each one of them, so students can do it. We had the cooperation with a school in Carpathos, and there was a teacher there, a priest teacher, that he was having one school on his own, six grades in one room. And they asked him, how did you manage six classes in one room? And he said, I'm not alone, I have 8 computers with me. So this is the respect, shows you the difference. The syllabus and the books are the same, the timetable difference, but the teaching hours differ dramatically. The teaching hour in the school is 40 minutes and 45 minutes, while in teaching hour in the multi-grade schools is 20 minutes and 25 minutes accordingly. So, let us see further. The teachers are rookies, poor kids. They just finished the school and they are allocated to the remote areas. In this thing, we have to, they don't know it. They hate it, they consider it as exile. And to love it, it's more rare than hate it. The Greek universities do not teach multi-grade teaching at all in any pedagogical subject, unless I'm mistaken, but I don't think. And some of the subjects as English, art, music, gymnastics even, may be missing. Sports, I said gymnastics, may be missing. From scientific research point of view, there are some research indicating that multi-grade schools do not differ dramatically from the conventional schools, depending very much on the teacher or on the inspiration or whatever else. Some of them say, well, there are differences. There is a controversy about it. After discussing all this and defining what is there, maybe we have to have some ideas, suggestions, or something that we know from various projects here and there. What is needed is a brief seminar for a new multi-grade teacher. Is it possible? It's very difficult. The teachers allocated the last moment. I don't know why. We cannot manage it. Usually they have to go in September and they are allocated at the end of August, maybe in September itself. And it's like the Greek game of Moujuris. If somebody is to be allocated in a multi-grade school, he's attracting he's kind of trying to affect the situation and mobilizes his MP, his mayor, his whatever else, to avoid this, to change it. And somebody, in the end, somebody is left with a Mujuri and goes. So, so this is it. But if they knew that beforehand, inequivocally, we have to be sure that he was going, then a seminar could do. A seminar could be the case, so he could be trained for this situation. Then, that's one thing. Without it, it would be difficult. We have to make sure that they have good quality equipment, including video conference equipment. That's a situation that what is a good quality? Well, we're discussing that now. It's not a proper suggestion, it's not a proper study. It's a kind of ideas that are floating around. Good internet. All of the schools have internet, but what kind of internet? If a 24 line is useless, ISDN is hopeless. ADSL sometimes is useless again because companies are loading a lot of the providers are putting a lot of customers in one kind of facility, and it doesn't work. Then the subject of English should be taught. Well, we have to find ways. We have to find ways and improvise. And curriculum, ICT. Well, it has to be changed, ICT. ICT is a shame for the primary schools to be taught 1 hour, even the conventional primary schools, 1 hour. At this time and era, 1 hour, it's a shame. We have to change that. Of course, the whole thing has to be changed to the multi-grade schools. Okay, let's go to the country. We have to have a help desk for multi-grade schools. It's not a new thing. Oh, sorry, the local community, I missed it. The local community, well, we have to have high-speed internet in the community. We have done that in the VIAS project. And I say sponsored here. In case there isn't a provider that can do that, Elon Musk can. Elon Musk with satellite. At that time, we thought satellite internet would be too difficult. Now, I know a company that with 55 euros can have a 200 megabps connection, which is more than enough to be distributed and be shared by others. So we have solutions, but we have to be kind of more innovative. So activities of the school involving local community to make projects, little work for local products, local customs, local whatever. It's already happening, but we have to encourage it in a more formal way. Activities of the local community reversely for the school. It's already happened again, but we have to enhance it, make a kind of commitment for the municipalities accordingly to work with that. Then, a help desk for multi-grade schools. That's something that will be different. As everybody mentioned, there is a gap between the rural schools and the urban schools. And this gap reflects to the point that the teacher in the multi-grade school cannot ask for help easily. He can, but not as much. So it would be good to have, like the Kepler-Net situation in the past, to have somebody, a help desk thing. We have done it in Schedia project. We had somebody that was phoning, but you can phone, or you can send a mail, or you can send an SMS. At that time, there wasn't an SMS. You can send an SMS, kind of communication, and the man was answering back. And in case nobody phoned, he was going and said, look, George, I have a new trick for you to learn. So he was asking other people to learn things. Distance lectures of the matter, of the life of the area. We have done it in the Rural Wings project. Rural Wings is a kind of big project we did. And we had a seminar how to tackle the situation. This goes for the community. Oops, I know the trick. It goes for the community. We have to, how do you do the goats? Well, we did once kind of a distance learning, a distance lecture about the bear, the Arcturus situation. We went to Nympheo, established a satellite line. We didn't have much internet at that time. With a satellite link, produced it to the Greek school net, and then from there to all the schools in Greece. We've done this 4 or 5 times, just to show from the Rural Wings area, Rural Wings project. Something has changed. What has changed? Increase of tourism. Whatever we have preserved as natural beauty is there, and the tourists have found out. This produced jobs. It produced jobs, and this kind of, one of the reasons that the multi-grade schools were kind of diminishing was that. So we have less people living. We have development of the digital technology. It helps not only administrative, but in teaching, and of course, in many other aspects everywhere, teaching technology. We have new ideas on agriculture. The crisis produced some people leaving their apartment in Athens, going to their countries, the countryside, the father's house, and their father's plot to cultivate crocus and the kind of very special kind of plants so they can avoid the crisis. New trends in society. Some people just want to go away from the rat race. So, the conclusions. Well, in certain areas, multi-grade schools are non-negotiable reality. They will stay there. They will be there, whatever you do, unless you have to spend a lot of money. Remote areas. It's a nearly closed system. If it is very remote, the communication is difficult, either in person or in distance. So what happens is all assets are valuable. What does it mean? It means that we've done that in Schedia. As I mentioned earlier, the people, they are helping as much as they could. So all the systems, in a closed system, everything has to be taken into account. And multi-grade should be a part of a development scheme. A development scheme means that you have to take into account the entire situation. how much how will affect the society, and what is the effect if it closes. Let us go. We need new policies for the multi-grade schools. Vertical, each one to be applied individually. For each one, we have to know what's going to happen, and of course, for them, for the rest, the vertical is about their existence. What is the reason? What is the cause for the multi-grade to be closed? And of course, on their operation, we have to apply a certain policy to be developed. I'm not going to say this. We have examples for policies. Policies means money, means allocation of priorities. The University of the Aegean is such a thing. The University of the Aegean would be far cheaper to build it in the suburbs of Athens, in Ophita, somewhere, and it would be nice. And we have all the variety of professors, and transportation easy, and it wouldn't be that difficult as the University of the Aegean, that the infrastructure has to be repeated. And again and again. You have to have libraries, we have to have ICT network centers, administration, everything else. So, well, sponsoring of transportation. There is a sponsoring transportation for the islands. That's a policy to mimic or to think in case we want to do something about the multi-grade schools. Another policy is the traveling equivalent. I don't know if you know about this. For every trip that each man, that is, each person that is located in the island, if it is traveling by boat or by plane, can have a sum back to support the living in the island. So these are policies that they can help the multi-grade schools. Well, the policies can be, who is going to do these policies? The Ministry of Education to start with. Well, it's not my job. And of course, other universities, as the University of the Aegean has done with lots of projects, all other universities they have done, the Polytechnic, Athens Polytechnic, and many, many other universities working in the area. Organizations, institutions, companies, individuals, and everything else. What do? They offer machines, they offer equipment, they offer computers, they offer libraries, they offer books. Everything is welcome. Some of them are in the storeroom. Some of them are there in their boxes. You have to ensure that the teachers are willing to work, and they like it, and they will enjoy working with all the accessories that have been sent. So, and why only the multi-grade schools? Well, to donate to a multi-grade school, it was a kind of blessing. To donate to a school in the mainland, in Athens, it's a kind of dubious thing. Maybe they don't like it. And you know the reasons. What is needed is human care. It's okay with the machines, but we need people to go there and support the teacher, teach them, fix their computer and teach them new methods. If we cannot do that, we can always do it by distance. A balance between the two. So the new ideas are coming. We have to create opportunities. How can we create opportunities? By having care, by having policies, and of course, putting money into their place. So, the School of Need. Well-known pictures. Oops, everything is going too fast, and the problematic school can become, well, something happened here. All assets are necessary, and that's it. I think we have this photograph from a project that we had. Well, the computers were carried. At that time, it was so big, and it was in Karpathos, in the village that you mentioned earlier. We have to become the school of technology. Thank you very much. We have the trouble with this. We have some trouble.
So we are keeping, let's say, the importance of the human factor. This is really very, very crucial, I think. We are saying that technology can open a window, open really many windows for education, especially in rural areas, transforming, let's say, the walls of the classroom to open windows to the world. But what about if the window opens to the universe, to the stars? So there is an institution in Crete, fourth, in cooperation, of course, with the University of Crete, that are offering these services. They are offering observing time for the Greek educational community, and recently also to schools abroad. So they are creating a welcoming environment where researchers are ready to support schools, and the schools have the unique opportunity to observe the sky from Skinakas Observatory in Crete. So we have the great pleasure to have with us Professor Hamandaris. He's the director of Skinakas Observatory, professor at the University of Crete, and he's going to talk to us how we can transfer the Skinakas experience to the school classrooms. By the way, I want to say that here we have numerous posters from schools, from rural schools across Europe, and there are numerous of them related to astronomy. So there is a chance for astronomy, I believe, in the Greek educational system. And I have put this poster especially here because this is from Yanni Tsochori, that was mentioned from the president of the Institute of Educational Policy, a whole astronomy and space project. So it is related to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, first, thank you very much for the invitation. It's the first time that I actually give a talk in this audience. And I feel a bit stressed just because of the fact that I greatly appreciate all the work that experts like the people here in Elena Germaniki have been doing and in all over the world, and seeing people like Rosa with whom we collaborated for the past couple of years. And the reason why I'm also a bit stressed is because I actually value education extensively because of my upbringing. Both my parents were elementary school teachers, and they started teaching in the late 50s and 60s in small villages in northern Greece. And I know a lot of the difficulties that were presented by the previous speaker. So what I would like to talk to you about is about what we have been doing at Skinakas Observatory and the Institute of Astrophysics more recently, and about our plans and ambitions for the future. And first of all, just to give you an idea, the Institute of Astrophysics actually is a very new institute. It was created at the Foundation of Research and Technology, LS, only in 2018. And this was after 20 plus years of demonstrated excellence in the area of astrophysics by the unique ecosystem of the University of Crete and the Foundation of Research and Technology, who were hosted in another institution. Our main research and educational infrastructure is Skinakas Observatory, and it's just 50 kilometers from the city of Heraklion, 750 meters altitude, and it is the premier observatory in Greece. We publish more papers than all other observatories in Greece combined, and these are cited by more scientists all over the world. And we do feel that part of our responsibilities, in addition to university education and training of young researchers and PhD students, is also to actually give back to the community and to get involved in educational activities in K-12 level, of course with the support of the experts. So what we had been doing since 1995, effectively, was the easy stuff first. Open nights, we opened the observatory to the audience, whoever wanted to come up to the mountaintop, and share with them our excitement about the night sky and why it's looking at the window of the universe. We can learn new things and get more information about the world around us. But then when the Institute was created and we had more resources and we could actually make our plans, we started a few additional steps. The one was the organization of the first annual School of Astrophysics of Crete. This has been running now for 3 years. I'll talk to this about it. The second was the support of the Eureka Prize for high school teachers. This has also been running since 2021. And the reason why we did that in cooperation with Crete University in Press and Mathesis, the open source courses that we have in Greece, was because we wanted to actually give back and reward the teachers who are actually doing the hard work in passing the message to the students. And then we were involved in STEM education via Astronomy project. That was thanks to Elio Germaniki. I'll show you some pictures of that since 2008. And we also started creating high quality science content in the social media since the creation of the Institute, and we contribute to astronomy publications for non-scientists. So for those of you that have not been at the Skinaka Peak, this is how it looks. You can see the first telescope, the 0.3 meter telescope back in, it was created back in 1986. It brought the first CCD camera in Greece. Then the guest house was created, was built in 87. It was recently renamed to Ioannis Papamastorakis to acknowledge the hard work of the now Professor Emeritus, Yannis, who built the observatory. Then in 95, we got the 1.3 meter telescope. And then a few years later, we got the photovoltaic park to get electric power. And to the right, a couple of years ago, the new dome, it's not visible, where a new robotic telescope of 1 meter will be installed this summer. And this came from a donation from the committee Greece 2021. And this will be used extensively for educational activities, as Sophocles mentioned. And the open nights, what we are doing, they commenced back in 95, as I said, typically a few times a year, less than 10. The number of visitors keep on increasing. We have typically 2,000 per year. And it's not only astronomy, but they also see the beauty of mountainous Crete, and experiencing the sunset from 1,700 meters altitude is actually very impressive as the night progresses. And we discuss with the people come, they discuss about scientific questions that they may have, non-scientific, aliens, UFOs. And also they view instructional presentations. Panagiotis Evangelopoulos, who has been working with us for the past few years, has been doing that. And we also, due to the pandemic, we started having virtual tours offered. And this is a snapshot of one of them. And actually, thanks again to Elino Germaniki, we participated in the organization of an event where we had a virtual tour, not only in Greece, but also in collaboration with people with the Greek community in South Africa. And we expect that this will improve very soon. The reason why it will improve, because we got funding, and we will have a new building, a new visitor center up on the mountaintop. It will have a 85-seat multi-purpose room, a stage, as well as a dome. And we will actually move there a telescope, a robotic telescope that we actually have on another dome. And if we are lucky and all goes well, we may even buy a third 1.2 meter robotic telescope. The tender should be out at the end of this month. And if all goes well in 2026, it should be there. Currently, we have this robotic telescope that you can see on the right, this 60 centimeter telescope. But we also got involved with the astrophysics school. This started during the pandemic. And the idea was to actually provide an education to students in a non-traditional way. We didn't want to have a class where students were obliged to learn. We invited anyone that wanted to come. It was addressed to students of first and second grade in Lykio. It was just 8 lectures. These were produced online. There was a platform where there was basically the possibility to a forum, effectively, where students could ask questions not only live but indirectly. Those that were interested, they could participate in an exam in the end. The first 5 got free books from Crete University Press, And the top 3 were actually invited up to Skinakas for 2 nights to observe with astronomers on duty. This is a unique experience. All students were really, who came, they really enjoyed it, and then they stopped by Anoia where they had some non-vegetarian dishes, local for the mountainous Crete. It has been a great success. We have an oversubscription by a factor of 2, typically 150 students per year. And we are currently working to actually make this, to expand it and make it available via Mathis so that we can share it with students all over Greece and again invite some of them to Crete over the summer for observations. The other award that, the other activity that may be of interest to some of you is the annual Eureka Prize. Eureka, the well-known phrase by Archimedes long time ago. We established it together with Crete University Press and Mathis. And effectively what we want to do with that is we want to identify motivated secondary education teachers who are actually going to do something out of the ordinary, out of the strict curriculum. And what they're going to do is they're going to, whatever activity they may feel is important to stimulate the interest of the students, but it should have some connection with astronomy. And there is a reason why there is that, because astronomy is actually one of the main attractive areas, at least what motivates at least the young generation to science. And there is a prize associated with it, cash prize. It goes to the teacher, as well as some money also go to the school where the teacher has been, is doing the activity. And we have run it now 3 times, and the next one will also be, the deadline is at the end of May every year. We will advertise it again. And it's been a unique experience. The chair of the committee was Stefanos Trachanas the first couple of years, and then Professor Pavlidou, who is a very talented, bright professor at the University of Crete, actually is leading the organizational efforts of that right now. And of course, the STEM was something that we are interested in, and personally, as well as the rest of the members of Skinakas Observatories, actually we do believe that we have the responsibility to assist to the training of the new generation. As most of you know, astronomy and space science are very popular subjects among kids, probably the most popular after the dinosaurs. But we should also keep in mind that astronomers may know about astronomy very well, but they do not know how to pass the message to the students. This is something that we do not know, and we should acknowledge that we don't know that. But we want to be involved in creating and distributing free, high-quality educational material, and the way we were able to do it is to collaborate and trained by the experts in the area since 2008, and the experts in Greece is, as you know very well, Elino Germaniki, who is hosting this event tonight. And I have some evidence on that. Here you can see a picture of a young assistant professor who was hired in 2008. This is Andreas Zezas. You can see it's a low-resolution image. You can see how he looks now, higher resolution and a bit older. This was the project Cosmos, actually, if you remember Sophocles. And even the speaker participated in that. You can see that I had more hair, less gray hair, and less mass than I actually have right now. So this is, but more seriously, actually, we were very fortunate to support these activities via 2 projects. One is the last skill, which is related to digital learning, and Rosa and Sophocles and other collaborators actually led us into that, and we were very fortunate to participate. And the one that is still running, it's an ELIDEC HFRI project, Discovery Space, and there is a workshop tomorrow, and Maria and Panagiotis will present some of this. And this has been a unique opportunity for us because we were able to identify schools in Greece who had motivated teachers. Elino Germaniki in Athens, there is a Pagritou Εκπαιδευτήριο in Iraklio, and a couple of other schools in Iraklio, actually, with whom we established closer ties. And we are able to at least be involved and help the teachers create a scenario, teaching scenario. Here you can see some screenshots from this web page, the DSpace web page that I have in the end, where you can see here where these are basically exercises and that the instructors, the teachers from the various schools all over Greece have produced. We were involved in sort of like validating their astronomical accuracy, and they are available online and with instructions on how to do it and how to apply them within the curricula as they exist now. And they are compatible with the plans of the Educational Institute, I think. And our ambition is actually that I think we have the resources, our own resources, financial and IT resources, and we actually wish to continue to be able to validate all astronomy-related K-12 educational activities in Greece if the state wishes to involve us in that. And actually the important thing, I think it's also the fact is that we would like to act at least as their long-term central depository, because often people do a lot of work and then somehow this work is lost and we need to rediscover the wheel every once in a while. If you have an organization like an institute and an observatory who commits themselves into secondary education or primary education, we have the resources to actually make sure that it will stay there for a long term. And it can be updated as the people who use it see fit. So we continue in various other activities which are not directly educational, but they attract the interest of the public. So what we did as an institute, we have an active YouTube channel where we have many videos, several subscribers, and we have educational videos, the ones that I showed you with the exercise that we produced as far back as 2008, and more recent ones, our seminars, people can do it. We have a vibrant Facebook page. Again, we post regular astronomy news and announce all sorts of educational and public outreach activities. And more importantly, we actually have a very beautiful library with photos, astronomical photos that we took from Skinnakas Observatory, as well as the facilities there, and they are free for anyone who want to download it. And we are also supporting different types of publications. There are books with pictures, like the original one from the Yannis Papamastorakis and Makis Papapalalou, with pictures from the Skinnakas Observatory. This was actually recently been translated into English, A View to the Universe, using actually an interreg program between Greece and Cyprus. And we also actively are actively involved in translating public outreach books of astronomy. And also the Professor Pavlidou and her husband, Professor Tassis, actually they are actively involved in creating material, educational material in this open edX environment, Mathesis, about the universe. There is the second, this is the first class, the second one should be released in a month or so. And our plans for the future, we are optimistic. We would like to improve the organization and the experience for the open nights. That I think we will do. We wish to continue organizing cultural and scientific events in Greece, in Crete in particular, but also we are open to collaborate all over Greece and coordinate the activities with amateur clubs in Crete, because what we need to do is you need to go to the public. You don't need to expect that only they will come at 1,750 meter altitude. And we've been doing various activities on that. And as I mentioned to you, what we will do is that we will actually make these national lectures for free via Mathesis, hopefully by 2025. We are working on them now. And our most realistic, I think, ambition is that very soon we will have a new operational 1 meter class telescope, thanks to donation of the committee Greece 2021. And this will offer the opportunity of more straightforward remote observing and training to basic astronomy skills to all high schools that in Greece that are interested. And here I show you some pictures from events. This was a very nice event we organized about the sky and music and literature with the French Embassy in Athens and Crete University Press, Space Week, Panagiotis was organizing that, events in open theaters, and more recently, on the occasion of the 40 years of Forth, we had a special event on how you will actually read the clock on the sky with solar clocks and as well as the Antikythera mechanism. And that's, I will leave you here with the motto of our institute is that the sky is not our limit. And I do believe that there is a bright future also for astronomy education in Greece, and we will do our best to assist that. All of you who are actually know much more about it than we do. Thank you very much.
So this was the last keynote talk for tonight, and offering, let's say, a nice message for the future of education in principle, and maybe the message that maybe we have to explore the case of re-bringing astronomy in the school curricula. So it would be a good development, I would say. The dinner of the conference will follow at the school restaurant on the first floor, and the school observatory is open for an observation night. The sky is partially clouded today, but I think we will be able to observe at least the moon and some specific targets. So have a nice evening, and looking forward for a great day tomorrow. We will present numerous projects from rural schools, plus 2 workshops. One of them is focusing on the construction of a seismometer, and the other one on how we can get data from Skinnaka's observatory and work on them, work on the pictures. So have a nice evening. Thank you.